Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and in today's video, we're going to be trying out an obscure boss that actually has some pretty massive drops, and the drops from the boss go a little bit deeper than they seem on the surface, which will be explained soon to come. If I sound a little sick, I just had the flu for the past 5 days, and I'm still kind of recovering, but I feel good enough to make this video. Since over 90% of you aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe so I can continue to do videos like this full time, and let's get into what I think is a really fun video. So one of my favorite things of all time in RuneScape is to go back and try content that others wouldn't, or content that is not thought about as much anymore. I mean, we all know there's a current meta in today's game, which is killing the high GP per hour bosses, doing clue scrolls, and then for some people maybe skilling. That's what most people like to do in RuneScape, and for good reason. It's fun and you make a lot of money. But my favorite thing personally is going in and trying to find these diamonds in the rough methods, these little hidden mobs or methods or bosses that people might not think about anymore, and try to find some that might actually be good for profit. That's what gets me excited and what I have a ton of fun doing. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a boss that I have not tried in many years, and this boss is called, well, this distraction diversion is called Demon Flash Mobs. As of today, Demon Flash Mobs are around a decade old in RuneScape. Yes, 2013 is now a decade ago. Do you feel old yet? Most people rarely do Demon Flash Mobs anymore. Like Goblin Raids, which I talked about in a previous video, Demon Flash Mobs is sort of like the grown-up version of that Goblin Raids. A big demon and other smaller demons and imps spawn in an area, and it's your job to kill them all for a bunch of loot. Now, these spawn every single hour, and you'll get a text message in your chat when they start spawning, but they can appear in a bunch of different locations across RuneScape, but also appear in the wilderness. Sometimes you'll find these Demon Flash Mobs with the big boss just wandering about with full health, and that's actually what happens when a boss spawns and you catch it late. But if you happen upon one of these areas early, you'll likely see a small circle on the ground called the Evil Circle, which is filling up, and a Demon Flash Mob will eventually spawn there. Now, if you happen to catch them early, you can actually go ahead and kill all of the imps surrounding this circle, then all the greater demons, then all the black demons, and then finally the boss. If you do this, the demon boss won't be able to siphon any of the energy from all the little minions, and you'll be able to kill it starting at a much lower health. But the question you're probably asking yourself, that's great, but why would you want to kill these at all? It just sounds like a pain. Well, with the Demon Flash Mobs, once you take out the boss, you're rewarded with a bunch of different loot like demon claws, dragon items, coins, herbs, and more. When killing these in the wilderness, you actually get a much better normal loot table compared to on the surface world, which, since the wilderness is now PvP free, it's kind of a no-brainer to do it there. You also have a chance to get Demon Slayer items from these as well, which they don't go for too much, but they are used for the collection log. Now, here's the big one. There are 14 scrolls that you can get. These are called demonic title scrolls. This is dropped at a 1 in 1,000 rate, but there is a catch with these. So these scrolls are more valuable than others. The way these scrolls are dropped are based off something called a naming mechanic. So when you look at a Demon Flash Mob boss, he'll have some adjectives in his name. Like, for example, in the current clip, I'm fighting Deacon Quirrell the Frostborn, which means if he drops a scroll, there's a 50% chance it's the Frostborn scroll, and there's a 50% chance you get the Deacon scroll. This means you can absolutely try to hunt out demons with the names that are more lucrative to try to target farm certain scrolls that you either want or scrolls that are more expensive. Now, the little problem with this is these scrolls are so rare and the bosses are so rarely done that the prices are all over the place, but some can actually go for quite a bit more than you think, which is what I was talking about at the start of the video. Many people want to buy these scrolls because they want to obtain all the titles in RuneScape, or obtain as many titles as possible. There's a lot of completionists in RuneScape. People buy a ton of stuff. People spend billions to dye their armor, so I wouldn't doubt a lot of people spend money to buy stuff like this. So I could see all of these scrolls having some value to the right person, but here's an example of how weird the prices are on these. For instance, the Frostborn title, as much as I know, has always been the most expensive title, even back in the day. Now, the GE price is at 168 mil, which sounds really good, but I found a Reddit post of someone selling this less than a year ago in the GE instantly for over 500 mil. I saw a post of the Blazing title, which is currently listed at 60 mil, selling for around 200 mil around 8 months ago. I tried to put in a few offers for scrolls at 2 times or even 3 times their price, and none of them bought. So it's fair to say that these demon flash mobs could be a little more lucrative than what first meets the eye, but today we're actually going to test that and see what the loot actually looks like from killing these for a few hours, and maybe if we're lucky we can get a title scroll, or maybe these won't be as good as I think. I'm not sure, but they have me super intrigued, especially seeing as you can get some pretty lucrative drops. So I think it's going to be fun, and we're going to go and see how we do. So the first thing I needed to do was gear up, and at first I made a pretty big mistake. I went with range because it's the style I know the most, and I ended up finding a boss, and I actually did pretty terrible, and there's actually something quite interesting about these bosses that I didn't know at the start. I knew it in the past, but I completely forgot. If you're using prayer, basically any prayer at these bosses except for protect item, you're gonna get hit way harder and way more often. It is 100% way better to not use any prayer here, which at the start I didn't know, so I was just getting absolutely smashed, and I was starting to think, hey, I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna be able to kill these like I want to. It's actually really hard. These were built as group content at first, but of course nobody really does it, so of course I want to try to solo it, but then once I realized my mistake and switched stuff up, it got a lot easier. So what I ended up doing, now I'm sure there's better methods to do this for sure, but for the video what I did was I switched to melee, and I actually used a dark light and then masterwork and then an offhand, and just had an okay melee setup. Melee is a style that I don't use a lot. I'm pretty bad with it. I don't really know how to DPS well, so again, don't judge my DPS. I just threw it together. It's probably absolutely horrible, but I needed to use melee for that dark light, and what I ended up doing was when I would find these, I would actually spec them a bunch, which really helped, but at first I had trouble kind of finding these. You would log into a world and sometimes you wouldn't see any, text notifications or anything about these, but an easy way I found to actually hunt these in the wilderness is essentially you log in and you look at the world map, and on the world map at the top of the wilderness you usually see that there's the chaos elemental, there's the lava strike worm boss, and then there's also another boss up there. Yeah, it also shows Corporal Beast up there, so it shows 3 bosses up at the top, but then there's normally no bosses in the middle, and what you want to look out for is a little boss symbol on the map, and most of these symbols you can hover over and you see it says like Corporal Beast or Chaos Elemental, but if there's a symbol that you cannot hover over, you can't see any name, that is a demon flash mob. Sometimes it might be moving, sometimes it might be getting ready to spawn, but if you see that, you know there's a demon flash mob there, so that's what I did. I logged out, I hopped worlds. When I saw that symbol, I would go to it, kill the demon flash mob, and then repeat. Now for this video, I decided not to hunt a specific demon. I decided I just want a chance at getting any title. I just want to kill as many of these as I can as fast as possible. I don't really want, wait to find a new one. I'd just rather kill all of them that I see, so that's what I did. A method I kind of went with was when I started the fight, I would essentially just go and I would spec it about 4 times using dark light, and this would weaken it so it wouldn't really hit me that much, and then I'd basically just do normal damage rotation and kill it. It really didn't take too long to kill these. If I ended up catching it early while it still had the minions, I would of course go around and kill the minions, and then it would start with less health, but then of course you have to spend the time killing the minions, so the time kind of balances out a bit whether you kill the minions or not. But yeah, this was actually pretty fun. I don't know why, just the chance to get a huge item from a boss that you wouldn't really think about going to before. It was just, I always love killing stuff in the wilderness. Before I always said I think it'd be cool, especially now that the wilderness doesn't have PvP, to have even more wilderness specific bosses or bosses themed to the wilderness. So this was something that I really enjoyed killing. And I did end up getting a Demon Slayer piece drop. I think I got the Demon Slayer top as a drop from these, which I think again are also increased drop rate in the wilderness too. This is for, I believe, the Ultimate Slayer title, so it actually was a nice thing to get. Although it's not that lucrative, it is something that I didn't have on my collection log, so if you're planning on getting all the Demon Slayer items and you want a chance at making some money, this could also be a good way to do that. As for the normal loot, I think it seemed like every kill I was getting anywhere from 200k to around 400k 300k. I would say maybe 300k average per kill-ish, something like that. It was pretty decent. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't like getting a mil a kill or anything, but surprisingly, that's actually going to add up quite a bit. So after hunting these for a few hours over the course of the day, as I was sick, so I would play for 30 minutes, then take a break, then play for another 30 minutes. So it wasn't ideal in terms of efficiency, but that's what I did. After killing these for a few hours, this is what we got. About 2.7 mil. That's not that great, although it's also not, you know, that bad. But the main thing, obviously, that you want is you want those title scrolls. And the reality is they are 1 in 1,000 drop rate. So let's say for these, you can kill, I don't know, 10 to 15 an hour, depending if you can find these really fast. There was a time that every world hop, essentially, I would find one and I would essentially go and I'd write a bunch of them down and what world they were in and where they were. And then I could easily just go through and kill them all. That made it really easy. I'd say finding them is actually the longest part of this, but if you can get a good strategy down, I'm sure you can kill quite a bit of these an hour, but you're still looking at a lot of hours to get one scroll drop. Now, will the scroll be a scroll that's worth, you know, 20 mil, 30 mil, or will it be one worth 500-700 mil? I've heard of the Frostborn going for like a bill. The scrolls definitely vary a lot. I'm going to show you guys right now me going and just trying to buy one real quick. So let's look for like one of the cheapest ones. So let's look for like the Deacon scroll. What is that? 4 mil. Let's see. Does it buy for 25 mil? This is a 4 mil scroll. Does not buy for 25 mil. Let's see. We have the General scroll. Maybe see what that one buys for. 25 mil, double the price. That one doesn't buy either. It seems like no matter what scroll you're going to get, if you're able to sell it, you're going to get a little bit of money. Of course, the big scrolls are the ones you want. Would I recommend doing demon flash mobs as a money maker, you know, constantly? Probably not. If you enjoy it, it could be fun. You'll at least get some normal loot. But if you're planning on, you know, making like, you know, consistent money every hour, definitely not. It's sort of like the Abomination boss that I talked about before, where you go and you do some and you hope you get lucky and get that scroll or get that Abomination cape, and it'll be a really big drop. These aren't as hard to do as other bosses, that's for sure. So if you're somebody who's just feeling a little lucky, I think these could be super fun to do because you can get one of those huge drops, and I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do a bunch more and make a loot video. Do you guys want to see like a loot from, you know, 1,000 of these demon flash mobs? It would take a while, but I think it could be pretty cool. So leave a like if you want to see that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I thought it was a pretty fun one, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.